Morning agenda meeting, the Cameron Parish Police Jury, Monday, May 5th, 2025. Michael, you want to say the pledge? All right. All right, Ms. Kristen with the Capital Area Finance Authority. Morning.
Hi, good morning. Thank you so much for having me. Again, we're with the Capital Area Finance Authority, also known as CAFA, and what we do is provide down payment assistance to first-time home buyers as well as veterans. In 2023, we issued a bond, and really it was to combat the interest rates. Interest rates were higher than we'd seen in a long time. Not that we thought they'd be historically low like we'd seen back from 2020 to 22, but we issued a bond in order to try to control some of that. Since then, and y'all entered into a resolution to allow us to offer it. Since then, we've went through the $40 million. Interest rates are still high, so what we're opting to do is to issue another bond, and we would love to have Cameron Parish back in our footprint. There's no risk to the parish at all. We absorb all the obligation. We just would like to have you in our footprint. In addition to this, I think it's important to know that we do continued education for first-time home buyers. I think it's important for them to understand the steps to home ownership, their credit, all that entails. We do that through lenders. The lenders do have to be approved with us, as well as our realtor partners. I don't know if you have any questions. Again, this is really just a continuation to continue what we're doing. And again, there is absolutely no risk to the parish. We just would like to continue this program for first-time home buyers and veterans.
Yeah, I got one question. When you're talking about first-time home buyers, is that an actual home, or like would a mobile home qualify, or what?
Unfortunately, right now, I mean, we can do manufactured homes, but not mobile homes. And I know as I was driving out here, I see that you do have a lot of mobile homes. There are some different things that we're working at. I mean, we recognize that affordable housing is, bigger than us all, and if we could incorporate that would be great. But unfortunately, a lot of times our lenders, there's a lot of risks that are associated with that, so they don't allow mobile homes.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, I just was curious on that because I know down here once you get south of the Intercoastal, you're talking 50 to 100 grand just before you get to the home. So a lot of people can't afford to purchase a modular home or a
Correct.
house with the foundation. So.
No, and trust me, I mean, I think that's something that we're experiencing across Louisiana, not just here locally. I think finding, first of all, inventory, then you couple that with insurance. But this is an opportunity to give those people 5% of the final loan amount, which, let's just to throw out numbers for ease of math. If you have a $200,000 home, that would give somebody $10,000. And it's really designed for them to come to the closing with as little as possible so that they can achieve that dream of home ownership. I mean, I recognize that there are some hurdles, but this is certainly a program that we've been able to, help over 200 families just with this bond alone.
Yes.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
No, thank you.
Any other questions? Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Food truck permits.
We bumped that. Miss Dana Evans said she is running about 5 minutes late.
On the food truck?
Yes.
All right, Patty Hearn with the Audubon, Nature Institute.
Hi, I'm Maddie Byrne. I'm with Audubon Nature Institute, and I am the Assistant Animal Stranding Coordinator for Southwestern Louisiana. So just wanted to take a little bit and say hi to the jury members and all the community members. Me and my team do all the sea turtle and dolphin stranding responses across all of Louisiana, and I'm the first time that we have a permanent position over here on the southwest side of the state. So I'll be around more. I have a bunch of stickers and just handouts with our hotline number on it. And so anytime you're down at the beach and you see a sea turtle or a dolphin, alive or dead, washed up, you just give the hotline number a call. Someone from my team answers and ask a couple questions, and then I can come down, check it out, make sure that the animals are doing all right, do a rescue if we need to do. We have a rehab facility over in New Orleans. And collect data if the animal's no longer alive and make sure our populations are looking good down at the beach here. But yeah, so just want to say hi.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah,
Question?
thank you.
Thank you. All right, HB 561.
Maybe you can comment on it? Miss Julie, was Tom gonna comment on House Bill 561?
He just walked in the back, so he'll be back in a second.
You wanna move
All right, combination hearing.
Ms. Robin, you want to give a little update with everybody's progress on that? I think most of them are working towards the goal.
831 Grangerville could not give me a date. Mark, did you speak with them?
Yeah, they said they was in the works of getting back down and moving
Okay.
towards it.
So you want to give them an extra 60 days?
I would like to see either 60 or 30, just as long
Okay.
as they're staying in contact and, you know.
All right. Yeah, that's on the voting. Okay. And then 105 Mears, they couldn't give me a date either. Did you speak with them also?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. And then the 996 Grangerville, the owner asked if we could give her a 60-day. She is planning to either demo or repair it. She just had heart surgery.
Yes, ma'am.
So I told her we would give her extension. Also, 122 Terrio, I heard from her on Friday. They will be tearing that down and cleaning up that property ASAP. Did you want me to give an update on the other ones, some other ones that we've had previous?
You can, so
Okay.
the jury's aware.
And then the 243 Ruby Lane has been demolished, and then 137 and 131 Warren. I just received a photo this morning. Those have been demoed off of the pylons, and they're working to get those cleaned up.
Thank you, Ms. Robin. I appreciate all the help.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, House Bill 561, Mr. Tom, you wanna?
Yes, sir. Sorry, I was in the back. So this is a bill that came up, and it had the potential, it had to do with insurance, it had to do with what we call arbitration, venue selection, jurisdiction, all the things that we are litigating, and we have been for 3 years litigating, whether we get to try our insurance case in a court in Louisiana versus having to go to court for arbitration. That's what we're litigating now. And this bill would have impacted that litigation adversely to our position. It basically was saying, it says that surplus line policies basically don't have to follow the rules that the standard policies have to follow, which means arbitration would be allowed. And that's another thing. But last week, David Brookhouse, Wes Romero, and I, Dane Bolin from, he's the parish administrator of Calcasieu, along with a few other people, went to the hearing, and I just received yesterday some amendments that we worked on afterwards that I think will protect us. We basically excluded public bodies. That whatever they want to do to commercial policies or residential policy regarding surplus lines, I don't agree with it, but our fight, our obligation was to the police jury and the school board, and I think we've accomplished that. So we've accepted us out of all of their comments, so it would not apply to us. But it's still some devastating litigation in favor of insurance, adverse to commercial businesses as well as residential policyholders. Because if you have a surplus line policy, the state is not protecting policyholders at all. And I told the committee that basically people of whether it's Cameron, St. Bernard, whatever, if it's a surplus line policy, the way the law is written right now is they could be forced to go to New York under New York law and arbitrate in New York. And that's just not, that just can't happen to the average person. So anyway, but for our sake, I think we've exempted public bodies from that, so we're safe for now, I think.
I guess for the record, what you're trying to say for the people is to really look into your policy and steer away from surplus lines.
To the extent you can. I mean, I think we all know that when it comes to getting homeowners on your home, there's not much negotiating in your contract or policy. You pay a premium, you may get to choose your deductible to decrease your premium, but about 30 days later you get a policy, which is your contract, and it says whatever the insurance company wants it to say. We've had, just recently, the school board, we received a policy and we negotiated that issue. And that, those carriers agreed not to, basically we agreed that it would be, we would litigate any dispute in Louisiana, under Louisiana law. So I guess you could try to negotiate that if you're, if you're a homeowner, talk to your agent and tell them that's important to you to the extent that you can negotiate that out of your contract or get a policy that does not include arbitration outside the state of Louisiana, but just pay attention to it. That's it. But for now, we've protected the public bodies.
Appreciate your effort and your time invested. I know you made a couple trips to Baton Rouge, so greatly appreciate.
Well, that's
you
important. It's important to
representing us.
everybody. Yeah. Thank you. All right.
Thank you. Made it. Semper Auburn sequestration hearing discussion, which we had talked to them.
Friday.
This is really no discussion.
Well, just to let everybody know that there's a meeting tonight. If you have any comments from the public, if there's any questions, tonight's the time to ask those questions. Just for the record, there's a lot of questions out there that haven't been answered, not so much in this program, but for the future of Louisiana and carbon sequestration overall. I heard through the grapevine, there's 85 wells already in the queue, okay? So it's gonna be a big thing. It's gonna be moving pretty fast, so people need to be aware of it. So I encourage everybody that has questions to show up tonight in Hackberry at 6 o'clock and ask those questions.
Ms. Robin?
So,
Go ahead.
good morning, John Wilson, Community Relations Representative for Semper Infrastructure. The public hearing tonight will be comment only. Everyone will get 3 minutes to get up and give a comment for the record. So they can ask questions, although they won't be answered until LDNR enters them electronically after. So 3 minutes only for comment. But
I don't want to get on this one program, but I'm going to say I've been asking a lot of questions, a lot of different people. You guys are trying to answer the questions that you could. A lot of the questions that we have are going to come out of Baton Rouge. But people are going to be able to ask questions tonight, and before the permit will be issued, those questions will be answered.
yes,
So tonight is the night to ask those questions.
they just won't be answered. LDNR can't respond tonight, but they will be answered if they give a statement or write a comment to be submitted.
Understand?
Yeah, and I know Semper's already committed that if the community wants to ask more questions, that we can always schedule another session. So
Absolutely. We will
one more
continue to do
thing, as
those.
we're talking about this, is I think the two guys, one from Vernon Parish and one from Allen Parish, said that they learned more out of our short session Friday than they learned the whole time. So I think that speaks highly for Semper, you know, in comparison to other projects. So hats off to Semper for that. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Rowland, you heard. Okay, food truck permits. Who are we?
Hi, how are y'all this morning?
Good.
Yeah.
Dana Evans, we and Mark Deschantel, are the applicants that filled out for the food permit, for Cameron Parish. And I had submitted a letter of explanation of our experience, just so that you could kind of get an understanding of maybe what had transpired. And, we worked diligently to have our application approved, which it was. Actually, 2 applications were approved. It was then that, we weren't allowed the time to actually build the food truck per the plan approval, and therefore which allowed for another existing food truck to complete their application, have it approved, have an inspection done, and a permit issued ahead of us. So we were coming in front of the board just to have consideration into the fact that, you know, our application being approved, not once but twice, but so that we would be allowed X amount of days, not to exceed certain a number of days, for us to actually build the food truck and commissary that was approved in the plan. Our food truck is solely for Cameron Parish. It's not to be utilized anywhere else. Our interest is here. And so we, you know, coming for the board to have consideration for a 5th permit to be allowed in Cameron, and that our approved application would be considered, and we would provide contracts with the party that would be building the food truck out for us, and would have a completion date and show that, you know, we will complete it within X amount of days, and then we can be inspected and have received the issue of the permit.
Where is y'all's LLC located for the food truck?
It'll be at 715 Marshall. Mark purchased that, which previously known as the Cameron Rental Supply and RV Park.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and he acquired that a month or so ago, which made it a perfect place for us to have the food truck position there. It allows for a lot of safe parking. The way that the access is to that, the entire property is concreted. It is it's completely open to Marshall. So it provides great access in and out safely. You know, so it lended itself to be a perfect place to have the food truck located. And it'll be there permanently.
Yep. So y'all looking to be permanently and not just chasing, you know, the expansions around?
No, we will be here. That's, you know, it was a hand-in-hand situation. One, he wanted the RV park here, but it also allowed for us to have a permanent mobile place to be. And so, and we do appreciate that the board making the authorization for us to have the on-site commissary. That was probably a #1 thing for us, to pull the whole ideal and concept together. And what we have planned out to use as the food truck is aesthetically pleasing. It's, you know, it's gonna be built to be here forever. I mean, we're committed to Cameron.
So,
If the business is successful, do y'all have hopes of making a permanent building one day, or?
We are. We've looked at that, and you know, and if we were not, we'd said all along, we did research, if we were not awarded a permit, or was it a more valuable investment to do a permanent location, you know, an existing building, and we have gone through the process, and you know, yes, we'd like to roll over into that, but we thought initially this is where we could be, and that food truck could still be there if we do build a permanent structure for something that is expanded a little bit more, but have an alternative to, you know, providing a food truck type service, as well as maybe offering something that's more conducive. It wouldn't be the Lighthouse, you know, standards, but it would be somewhat, you know, of value that for the workers could go to, and maybe in the afternoons after work, evenings, and have a sit down meal.
All of us are fully aware that you would definitely want to crawl before you start walking.
Absolutely. I mean,
We
so
understand.
our intentions are to roll the revenues that we generate from this back into Cameron and other ideas and other, I mean, there's you know, Cameron has become, you know, a service place for, it looks like LNG, but there's also a lot of needs here that could be met.
Yeah, that way if this works, then we look for another piece of property you know, to build those permanent locations.
And Mark's got interest here. He has been and is continuing negotiations with other businesses that are properties and buildings that are for sale here. And so he's continued the negotiations with that. So his investments here are pretty significant and will continue.
So at the moment, are y'all ready for business? Did y'all got all y'all's LDH stuff also?
We have everything in place and in line to, upon that, it was my understanding that once I was approved, that was, our investment in this food truck is gonna be $140,000 plus, okay? So it was my perception that once I received my approval letter, I would immediately go into construction of it, have it built, and have it in place. I wasn't, until I got the letter was I told, well, here's your permit, but someone other could come ahead and, that has an existing truck, and that was a whole eye-opener for me. So, but yes, we are prepared. We have everything lined up to go into build-out. It was hard for us to start investing on a build-out when we found out that someone else could come in and
Yeah,
it
we
would've-
didn't want to start spending
So,
80,000 and.
just for more clarity, it sounds like y'all have everything to go, but I know it's Mrs. Sonny's area, I believe, over here in Cameron, but what's holding y'all up is, I believe the jury has a stipulation or an ordinance that, I guess it's already filled, or is there an open spot, or?
and exactly what we feared happened to us. We got
We
approved.
had one open spot, but we got approved and somebody already had their food truck made, so it's boom.
Well, we actually had 2 plans approved in that time span, because I readjusted our plan. Once I realized that we weren't gonna be guaranteed a permit unless we were built out and done and set in place for an inspection, I jumped in within 24 hours, rechanged our plan. It was gonna be more expensive for us, but we would rent a food truck out of Houston, and we would build the plan around that. We would sign a contract with the commissary, which we did, and we would have that one permitted while we built out ours, and then we would have our permit, you know, hey, this is our new improved food truck, and have our existing permit transferred to that. But exactly what we feared happened, and that was an existing food truck that came and applied, was approved, and got inspected, and they got the last permit.
Is this at the Chevrolet place? Y'all's, anybody knows? It's the, equipment rental.
No, it was the RV park. It was called Cameron Rental Supply and RV Park. It's just past the curve. A little 16-spot RV park that has fully concreted.
So if approved, how long,
Golden Chevrolet.
It was Thomas McDaniel's RV Park.
Yes.
so how long would it take y'all to get the build if approved?
45 days at the most. The company out of Houston that would be building out for us, they told me they could be done in 2 weeks. But then we would be ready. Everything would be ready. All of our equipment would be shipped to Mark Charles. When they got put in place, the equipment would come over, be put in, 45 days tops. I mean, 30 would probably be really realistic, but 45 days.
'Cause I know, just to put a little more light on the situation, I live on this side and I'm down south, and I come to Cameron to eat and stuff. During lunchtime, I went just Friday. It took me an hour and 30 minutes to get lunch at the rec center.
Yeah.
You drive through Cameron right now, there's only one food truck here.
Right.
You know, there's 4 permits, but do we have any, I mean,
They've all been issued, but they're not here yet.
do we allow, I mean, what would be the go-to? Do we see if the other food trucks are gonna come? Especially, I like the idea that they plan on staying open the whole time permanently instead of just when the work's good, you know?
And our hours are 7 days a week. You know,
She's gonna be living down
I'm relocating here.
Yeah,
I'm relocating.
We've discussed this before, not with these people per se, but we do have people who have these permits who don't show up.
Yes.
They did in Hollow Beach quite a bit. They get the permit and they have it. Well, we have to have some kind of way to police that. They're not gonna show up. We need to be able to give the permit to somebody else.
I mean,
We have
definitely.
LDH here too, if you have any questions for them. Ms. Taylor and I think Mr. Ty.
Well, I think the biggest
While
thing,
you're up at the mic, how many permits are not being utilized right now?
So we have Anchors Up, which is in working. We also have Canex, We have the rolling stove, which was one of the ones just permitted, and Takira Toolbox. Now, Yaman had a permit but decided to back out, so that opened, actually where this rolling stove, they're gonna be going where Yaman was.
Out of those permits, Miss Robin, which one are locals and which one are, so to speak, out of the parish?
Tressie and Canics are the only two local ones.
Yeah, because I know I'm a firm believer if it's good for one, it's good for everybody. But unfortunately, the last thing I think we want to do as a jury is, you know, allow outsiders to come in that's not going to relocate or be from the parish and basically flood the market. And because, you know, it takes a lot to have a business down here in South Cameron Parish and in the north side. So the fact that they're looking to be here permanently, I think y'all would work good with the rest of them. So.
Yeah,
I
and
don't
the
know how-
permits are year, it's a year permit from January to December. They have to renew it every January with me. Now, the two that were just permitted, so the Takira would be the extra one, and then Yaman gave up his spot for rolling stove. In conversations with both of them, they're stating that they're gonna be here June 1st.
So what is the easiest thing to do to just say if we was on board with this to add an extra spot? I guess we'd have to amend the ordinance.
We would have to change the ordinance as well.
Yeah, or do we look at it and see if somebody's just gonna be here for a short amount of time and do the hard choice of pulling it to give it to somebody that's gonna be here permanently? I mean,
Is there any stipulation in the current ordinance that states active use?
No.
So if we go to actually change the ordinance, that'd probably be a valuable line item.
do we have
Revisit that.
Do we have any feedback, just say from I see Mr. Canics here today or Ms. Tressie? I mean, what would be the burden of adding, I mean, I know we're at 5, would be at 5. Would you like to speak on that, Mr. John? And
No, I think there's gonna be plenty business.
so you think there would be enough to go around with a 5th permit? I would like to see us, you know, especially that they're gonna be local. I mean, I don't know how y'all guys feel, and I know it's Mr. Sonny's area.
Yeah, I'd like to see us add the 5th one, but also I'd like to see us visit that where they have to show up. I mean,
Yes.
that stuff holding the permit and then not
Yeah.
Not
the service
utilizing the permit.
needs to be addressed. You know,
I don't agree with that also, that's why.
Is that something we can do pretty easy? Okay, how do we need to put that as an add-on?
You're gonna have to
authority to advertise, to do an ordinance change.
Okay, well, we need to do that.
Yeah, I think add on to instruct the staff to begin the advertising to amend the ordinance. And we'll draft whatever needs to be drafted. To add one and then put some
Stipulation in there.
requirements of that be used.
What's the time frame on that, getting that done? Ballpark,
2 months.
so that we can let you.
Mary,
It'd have to be a minimum of 60 days to.
Mary, the schedule, I mean, what,
So, once it's finished, you get it in the Cameron Hall, it has to run at least 14 days, and then it would be adopted at a meeting.
Give me some thoughts of this idea of use it or lose it. It seemed like we had that, at least we discussed it. We maybe didn't.
Discussed it.
We discussed it, because we did have that issue, I think, in Holly Beach. They would just show up for special occasions. You give me an idea. You want them here 15 out of 30 days of the month, if they're not here for 20 consecutive days? I mean, something, whatever that parameter may, y'all think.
I think the first thing, I think with LDH, there's a certain amount of time they gotta go or come. I guess that would probably be the bare minimum, but the fact of the matter is, like Ms. Tressie, she's pretty much here permanently. It sounds like these people will be here permanently.
But for those that come and go, and that may not be using it to the extent that y'all feel is appropriate.
I would say at least 3/4 of the year, if they couldn't be here, to me, I mean.
And these will have their commissary on location.
So we will be here, like, I mean, that allowed us to have the hours that we were willing to give to not only just the workers' shifts, but the community and the incoming traffic that we're having here. 7 days a week, 16 hours a day, from 3:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. We
And
got
I
that
would like to
conversation,
see if,
then we'll come back.
I would also like to see if something's in there for people that's actually got a food truck, say like Mr. Canick, cause he has a food truck, but he's not always in Cameron because it's slow, you know, so he'll put his at his shop, and that allows, you know, Ms. Tressie to get it, but when there's enough business in Cameron or other places, I notice Mr. Canick will show up and help out to relieve the burden, you know, because a lot of these workers, I don't believe they're gonna be able to wait 2-3 hours that we're doing now, and we're not even really busy. So I wouldn't want it to hurt, you know, the local people also.
Give it some thought, call me, text me, your thoughts, because primarily it's Sunny, maybe Holly Beach, and Cameron is what we're, so y'all give it some thought. I mean, the rest of you, if you have any ideas, just let me know, because I'm gonna have to fashion some wording as to what, you know, use it or lose it kind of thing, and I just need to have some, because that could be different lines, but,
Yeah, and we can also
Just let me know your
collaborate with
thoughts.
the health unit as well, just to
Yeah.
make sure that we're all on the same page.
all right.
At the bare minimum, would it be all right to see if we can get the fifth one added on today, and then I guess get in the weeds?
You can start advertising.
We can start advertising
Yeah,
for just
and
that.
that way we'll kind
Yeah.
of get in the weeds
Yeah,
with
so we
all the
we
other.
can get that started. The second part of use it or lose it, as I refer to it, we can adopt that
I didn't-
3 months from now. And it doesn't have to be adopted at the same time. So we can make it clear that one aspect is you want to increase from 4 to 5 with respect to the Cameron area. And part 2, we'll work on the use it or lose it
Yeah.
aspect.
Right.
And that may be something we adopt 3 or 4 months from now.
Real quick, is this gonna help these people today, or are they ready for their permit?
Yeah, we're ready, we don't
Well-
wanna wait.
Okay, I mean, you don't wanna get caught in the same
Build
boat.
out to it.
And that, and advertising that, the same situation could happen to us again. We are approved. LDH has approved, LS has approved us, you know.
The only problem is,
But we don't have the
it's an ordinance right now
Correct.
stating 4, right?
Gary?
So it has to be advertised.
Yes, advertise, but in the meantime, if there could be some verbiage change that, what we suggested is that once someone is approved, their application is approved, if they can provide the documentation showing this is how many days it's gonna take us to actually be ready for the inspection, that the inspection is what allows you to get the permit. So that's where the bridge breaks down for, us, because we have to build ours. We didn't invest in to make a food truck, we invested to make a truck in Cameron. So for us to build that out. So if we're approved and you advertise for a 5th permit, if those stipulations are in there that we're gonna be allowed the time to build it out, that other permit, it'll happen again, or it could happen again. That,
Yeah, somebody with a barbecue trailer or something.
So y'all not ready?
well, we're ready to start building it, and it would take 30 days to put.
Yeah, so
So,
all what y'all lacking is the construction. Y'all didn't want to put the funds to it if you couldn't cover it.
Yes, if we weren't guaranteed the permit,
if
and,
we couldn't guarantee the permit.
and that's exactly what
Guarantee
happened.
the permit for 60 days, then boom, we're starting.
Even if it's 45 days, if you say, if your application is approved, and the verbiage, if you can provide the documentation of, I need a special provision of 45 days to build out and to get in location for my inspection, that would allow us we have to meet that mandate of so many X amount of days set before the next approved applicant can get their inspection and get the permit issued.
So basically, if we was to vote on this today and y'all would get approved to get a permit, y'all would start building.
Immediately, today.
Immediately.
Today. Yes, sir.
And just to throw my 2 cents in like I always do, I think we should just add a 5th one and not get in too much weeds with the back and forth of controlling it, because I think we just need to be better stewards at allowing these food trucks to come in if we're gonna hold a cap on it, which, you know, clearly it's gonna be Mr. Sonny's decision. And
It's a whole parish decision, because Grand Lake didn't want any come in because they had permanent businesses. When the permanent businesses start showing up, we're probably gonna be cutting back on this, or going back to the regular fairs and festivals, routine.
Yeah.
But for right now, we're trying to meet the needs of the people the best way we can, and that's why we had the food trucks.
Yeah, and I totally understand where y'all come from. I own a little business too down here, and I mean, I can't afford to have a permanent place or even be set up to build a permanent place, because it's just the money you're gonna make down here versus how much you gotta spend to be permanent. I totally get that, but I think as good stewards, we want it to be from somebody that's gonna be in the parish. and I think y'all checked the right boxes for me on that.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
We'll put it as an add-on, and we'll add on the restrictive time that allows them to.
I would suggest that, you go to 5, and that if a permit is issued, that the applicant has 60 days before it can be withdrawn. And that way, not just anybody, so if anybody else in their shoes, this happens again, at least for 60 days, they know that they can go build out their product, their trailer, whatever. Because Robin doesn't have that authority just to decide that on their own.
Right.
Or the permit department doesn't, so it needs to be in your ordinance and that's just a suggestion. 60 days would give anybody time to get up and running, I think, so just add
Yeah, I
that.
think it could be,
We know a good attorney can word that just right.
I didn't want to add that in there without talking to you, but I think that would accomplish this situation if it arises again in the future.
y'all are residents here now?
No, but I will be, because of the food truck and the hours that it'll be running and his RV park, I will be relocating here, and I will be here. So, I took the hit on that one in our partnership and said I'll move down here, but.
The hit, that's God's country, I mean.
I'm telling you, I'm so excited, I can't stand it, I'm just waiting, but, so, we would never build a food truck for anywhere else. It was not in our repertoire to say we want to be food truck owners, but yes, along with the other things that we'd like to do within Cameron, it made for good sense for us to do that.
I just want to say, in reality, a lot of the people that are dedicated to Cameron, they left for their reasons for the storms, but unfortunately, a lot of them's chosen not to come back, and I think this is a good route to have new people come in and maybe relocate, open businesses, and hopefully it works out for y'all.
Right, we
I appreciate y'all trying to come in.
Thank you, we appreciate the time and the consideration.
Any questions? Okay.
I think we'll look at the feeding
All right, thank y'all.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Mary, you need anything from us for an add-on? Yes?
Authority to advertise ordinance amendments to increase to 5 trucks and for the applicant to have 60 days.
Yeah, we'll vote on that at our regular meeting. Good.
All right, agenda review.
Do you have any green cards, Mr. Ronald?
I do. All right, let me get these green cards. Mr. Butch. Mr. Seth. Mr. Justin.
Good morning. Good seeing all of you.
Morning.
I'm here to talk to you people about the possibility of getting a rodeo arena built in Cameron Parish for the McNeese Rodeo Club. They have some donors that are interested in donating some money to build a rodeo arena in the Grand Lake area. They were looking at a place in Calcasieu Parish. They got a place over there they could put it, but the rodeo coach, Justin Browning, would like to see it in Cameron Parish. He would like to put it on the 80-acre tract near the 4-H office on the south side of the road going to the parish barn. There's a lot of business that we could get coming into the Grand Lake area with the rodeo arena. Seth and I travel all over the state and into Texas, and he's gonna tell y'all about some of that. So that's about all I have to say, except that we would like to get approval today. We would like to see it on the voting meeting on whether y'all would vote to let us build one. This won't be no legal stuff involved in this. When it'll be time for that, I've talked to Tom. Tom will take care of the legal end. And Tom is gonna talk to you today. But right now, these two guys are gonna tell you everything about it. And we would like to see it on the voting agenda so we can move forward with the funds coming in. If y'all don't mind, we would appreciate that. And it would help the community out a lot, a tremendous amount. So with that, I'm gonna turn it over to Seth next, and he'll talk to you.
Good morning, y'all. Some of y'all know me, some of y'all don't. Seth Guidry, Grand Lake area. I'm the Justice of the Peace over Grand Lake and Louisiana Supreme Court saw fit to put me over Cameron District as well. We have a business Louisiana Cryogenics, we service the agricultural needs for equine, bovine, well, pretty much any animal, reproductive. And we do that all the way from East Texas, all of Louisiana, and almost all the way into Mississippi. I think currently our customers are, it's over 450, I think it's over 500 now, it's a lot. We cover a lot of ground. I've been dealing with being a Select Sires representative since 2012, dealing with people's breeding programs, animals, and all the way over. Point of all that is we have people all the time asking us for places to have breed shows, big sales, all the different breeds, all the different stuff. As time goes on, there's more of a lack of these types of facilities over everywhere, because what happens is a lot of them end up being parish run or privately owned, and they just don't end up going through it. With something like McNeese as a partner for this, that would provide the stability for a facility and an installation like this. Now, there's a lot of different things that would be very beneficial to this parish. You know, we have a little bit of a history with the cattle industry down here in Cameron Parish. I'm sure some of y'all are aware of that. The economic impact that we would have here from all these different shows. McNeese does a huge rodeo every year. They do lots of different activities and things that bring people. Mr. Browning is the current coach at McNeese. He's very, very good timed event coach, very, very good coach. McNeese is very well respected, has some really excellent athletes. Our educational benefits as far as horse, cow, agricultural stuff has really fallen in recent years. Like from the time that Sam and I were in school, there were tons of different agricultural things you could go to and take part in if you wanted to. If you weren't doing it, it was just because you didn't want to. Now people have to drive all the way to the other end of the state to some other facilities over there that are actually on the chop block. They're not foreseen to be open for a whole lot longer. Louisiana State University does the Master Horseman program, Master Cattleman, Master Farmer. They do all these things, and they're always looking for places to have clinics, shows, schools, just all sorts of things. My dad takes my daughter, and they go all over the state to go to all these different things that are going on. And I swear there's something going on every weekend. And I've got people calling me all the time wanting to know this place that they can have some of these events. We need more business. We need more things going on the north end of that parish, really over the whole parish. I think you'd all agree with that. But on that north end of the parish, this would bring a lot of people. We've had people talk to us about building a hotel down there if there was enough interest and there was a facility like this. From a practical standpoint, this is also a multi-use type thing. You know, it's not just a McNeese Rodeo Arena. It's also can be used for the educational stuff we just talked about. During Hurricane Rita, a lot of people were trying to get cattle out of Lower Cameron Parish and ran out of time. If they had a staging area set up where they could have got some cattle up out the southern end of the parish till they could get about to their permanent locations until the storm was done and then bring them back home. This is something that could be used and brought in as something like that. If that makes any sense, if any of y'all heard, a lot of people lost a lot of cows and horses down here on the lower end of the parish because they just couldn't get everything to high enough ground in time and they couldn't get back to it. You know, like right now the state horse show is going to take place in, I think, Beauregard. The state cow show is looking for a place. They've been kind of floundering around since they used to do it in LSU back in the day, and it got moved around a little bit. I think the district one will be at Burton Coliseum or Calcasieu Parish, you know, but you know, I've had so many people talk to me about different challenges with different facilities that they've tried to deal with, and those numbers of facilities are getting harder to deal with, and there's getting to be less of them. This is something that can encompass a lot of different topics, can bring a lot of business down, the economic impact of the area around it. I don't have to paint you guys a very big picture to see that. I think you can pick up on that. I spoke to Sheriff Savoy about security provided, like at the events, like if there's stuff like educational events going on, school stuff, he said no problem, he would commit to that. And if there was like private type events like the McNeese Rodeo, that he would work with McNeese Rodeo to make sure they had good security, make sure everything coming and going from there is safe. You know, we have a tax-based ambulance system. We have so much to offer as far as being able to set this up and there are donors willing to fund, build this facility. This is a really good opportunity, guys. I'm gonna turn it over to Mr. Browning.
Thank y'all for having me.
Thank
you. So yeah, we're just a little bit of background for me. I've been here 18 years. I got hired on, and this was supposed to be a stepping stone, but it ended up being a great place to raise my family. I live in right south of the airport in Lake Charles there. But we've been trying to, since I've been here, we've won 22 national championships in 18 years. I got on this kick with Mr. Butch and everything a couple of years ago when they built the football team, like a $1.5 million locker room. I said, man, we could have a whole rodeo arena for $1.5 million. And so I've been looking around, and I go to the administration on campus, and everybody I go to says, hey, we need to secure some land. Do you have any land for it? And there's not a lot of options in Calcasieu. We do own a section of land right off Helms Road, Frisian Road. But that's just not a good location, really. It's not a good location for us to secure funding. When you're trying to secure funding for stuff like this, they want to be on road frontage. They want people to be able to see that, hey, this is the, I can't name any businesses right now, but Chick-fil-A is not one. Say this is a Chick-fil-A facility, right, or arena or something like that. So it's a lot easier to secure funding for that. So Mr. Butch had the idea, hey, there's 80 acres, so we went and looked at it. And so that's the first step, really. We have tentative plans, arena plans. The building would be a little smaller than what the Burton Outdoor Arena is. We'd have a big conference room in it to watch video. Originally, I wanted this to be like a training, multi-use deal where we can watch video, we can train, we teach them, treat them just like any other athlete on campus. Since I've been here, I mean, my kids, they were up at 5 o'clock this morning exercising and working out, and a good group of kids. But training facility, weight room, practice arena, bleachers, stands, not as big, probably maybe hold 1,000 people. That's what we're looking at, not much bigger than that. Ideally, this is a practice facility and to hold events such as barrel races, ropings, goat time, jackpots, things like that, to bring in more people to us. It would be, McNeese would run this, as the funds would be secured through McNeese Foundation. And so McNeese would run this and be a self-sustaining facility. Just a little more on the rodeo team. Right now we have, the reason we want to build our own facility, right now we use the Burton Outdoor Arena. And we get, I don't want to say get kicked out, but we get relocated. We get kicked out from about December through the end of January every year. And then when in our preparation for the college national finals, right now we have 7 kids that just qualify for the nationals. And we get off of our schedule. We have to kind of work around the state high school rodeo finals. So that's kind of, and there's other times of the year we kind of get moved out of there for reasons of they rented it, or so and forth. Sometimes it's not a problem, but a lot of times when we do have to relocate, it's a very crucial time of the year. So right now we're driving to Orange. The Cowboy Church over there lets us use their arena. Beauregard lets us use their arena. We're at Sulphur when it's available, but normally it's booked. If you don't book it a month ahead of time, you can't get it booked, and they don't like to book the same person, like having, because it is a parish facility too, and they don't want to just say, hey, McNeese Rodeo has it for a month. They can't do that, because then the community and the residents of that side, west side, Calcasieu, would get upset. So. But right now we have about 34 kids on the team, and I want that to grow. I really do. But when you bring and most of our team members are rough stock riders, because when you bring them down to go show them the school, they got a $200,000 calf roping horse or $200,000 barrel racing horse, and they don't want to put them in a 10x10 stall. They want them to have turnouts or have a bigger stall so that horse can move around. And that's where we're at right now. We have a lot of kids that want to come. They come down, they look at facilities, what we have, and they go somewhere else. And it's strictly, we have a state representative, and he's Troy Romero. And Troy said, that's why his daughters went to Commerce, Texas A&M Commerce. They live right here and they went out of state because our facilities to hold those horses aren't up to standard for the horses that they have. I mean, a breakaway horse right now costs $200,000, and these kids are buying these. McNeese doesn't. So that's one reason we want to recruit more kids. My goal is to have up to 50 kids. We practice every day at the Burton, and this location it's 5 miles south of the Burton, so it's not much more driving for those kids. And then it's going to open opportunities, like Seth said, for economic impact. I mean, people can build apartments and those kids would jump on them. Right now, no kid can even live really close to the Burton and afford it in South Lake Charles. The rent's way higher than it is in up north of McNeese. So that's an opportunity. Those kids will be going down there every day to practice, go workouts, things like that. Not to mention tending to their horses on the weekends. So I would think that you're going to see a big increase in the subway, Browns, all that is going to increase because the traffic's going to increase. You're going to get 30, 35, 50 kids, hopefully, in the future. That's the goals, to be coming down there, plus events. We'd have jackpots at the Burton. We'd have a breakaway jackpot once a week, and we'd bring in 60, 70 girls breakaway roping. And now we just don't do it. It's just not real beneficial, for us. But if we get our own facility, we'll be doing that again because we got to make the money. Our goal is to get this built, secure the funding, get it built. We'll hire. I don't even have an assistant coach right now, so we're looking at securing an assistant coach, getting them a way to pay them. Our assistant coach, so this building would basically make the money to self-sustain itself. We'd pay our assistant coach, which she or he, whoever it would be qualified for sure, and also be able to run the facility too. That would be part of their job description, as mine is fundraising and coaching and plumbing and building fence and building buildings, and that's my job now. So we're trying to just make this facility grow. All these Texas schools, Lamar just announced that they're having a rodeo program. So, and they've got a lot of money getting put into it, is what I hear. We want to be able to still get those East Texas kids that might want to go to Lamar because they got a better facility, or I know they won't have a better coach, but yeah, I think that this would be it, and it'd just be a great partnership between McNeese and Cameron Parish. Honestly, I mean there's a lot of agriculture industry in Cameron Parish, and I feel like we can help that. We can partner. We had a state FFA show at the Burton. A couple of years ago, we had a national FFA show at the Burton, and those kids came in on buses. We got all the cattle together. They did it. I mean, there's no reason why that can't be in this arena. I was assistant coach at Tarleton State University in Stephenville, and they have a really good football program, and they have an indoor arena there, and that's where the high school football team practices when it rains. They go into that arena and just play in the dirt, play barefoot in the dirt, and they play football, and they're Texas state champions in football. So if they're willing to do it, maybe get their feet dirty a little bit. But there's just so much opportunity there. We're looking at building a pretty state-of-the-art weight room, or state-of-the-art what I consider state-of-the-art. I don't want my guys to get soft, so it's a little bit harder than what the other ones have. But anyway, that's my vision. I think it would benefit. I know it would benefit. I mean, for our rodeo, we're not looking at doing our rodeo there. We would probably keep it at Burton. We moved it inside the Coliseum last year. It was a big deal. We're looking at growing that, building concerts and things. And ideally, we're wanting to have big concerts where we fit in 5,000, 6,000, 10,000 people in it. And I think that's the closest venue to where we're at. But if we build this thing, there's a hotel built, you guys are still going to benefit, from that. In the future, if that didn't happen, then it's just the 80 acres isn't. I don't want to say this to be rude or wrong. I'm honest, but it's not big enough to build RVs, and it would be having something, maybe somebody across the road built an RV park to benefit from it, or a stall, an exterior stall building like the Burton has, for the people that are coming into the events. And that's why I said we would probably limit it at first to, basically one-day events, things like that, like bringing in the horse shows, or even partnering with the LSU Ag and bringing in the master horseman classes, things like that, to just educate kids about equine events and all that, that kind of stuff. I had a train of thought there. So like we already take kids in high school and we start training them. That's why we do rough stock. That's what I did. And those kids, like every kid that's making the college finals right now, we're rough stock riders except for 2 started at McNeese. Like we started training them in high school. The gentleman that owns Bobby Miller, he's from Welsh. I'm sure y'all know Bobby, but his son started in high school with us, and he's made the college finals twice. So he'll probably win the nation for us before it's over. So we build these kids. We've started a couple kids from Grand Lake. Started a couple kids there, and they ended up just not making it. But we're always open to helping anybody, get in that. And I think if it comes down that way, we're going to give a lot of kids opportunities to go to college too. And actually, one of them that we started, he actually does go to college. He got a scholarship. He goes to Texas. We helped him get started. And now he goes to a Texas school. But still, it gave him an opportunity that he didn't have before we took him on board and started working with him. I don't know. Y'all have any questions?
How many acres you think you need for something like that?
Right now, without the arena, we run bucking horses, bulls, calves, steers. We don't have the stall barn or anything like that arena, and we have 120 acres. Utilized of that 120 acres, we have we probably utilize about 80 of that 120 because some of it's tallow trees. It's right east of the Burton, that pasture right east of the Burton Coliseum. You go look at it. That was all tallow trees when we got it. We've been clearing it little bit by little bit. And, to be honest with you, that was our first instinct, was to try to buy that land from that gentleman and just build a really nice stall barn and continue to use that pasture. And he doesn't want to sell it. So we're looking, so I think 80 to 120 acres is right. That would be big enough to grow if you guys said, hey, let's put some more into this. Let's build a stall barn for it, just basically like the Burton, or the West Cal be a better fit. It's a little smaller footprint than the Burton, but it's something for growth. For growth, we would need more than 80 acres. I think there's probably about 60 of those acres right there that are we could utilize, because I think the back piece it was a dirt pit, if I'm correct, it's a dirt pit. And so I think that front piece is probably 50, 60 acres. And we still have access to that land. So if we need an overflow, we'll still keep our horses or bulls or whatever at that other property. Or probably move them to the Drips property over on Helms Road. Like I said, the McNeese owns a section right there. It would be utilized for keeping livestock, I think there's another 10 acres right next to it that a gentleman owns that he had told Mr. Butch that he would let us use that too, to lease that from him, to make it a little bit bigger. So I don't know what y'all got, if you might have something different, but that's what we went and drove at and looked at, and it'd be a great location. It's right across the line. For me, it has to be located good enough to where my kids don't have to drive 30 minutes from class, or the dorms, the ones that stay in the dorms, have to drive 30 minutes to go feed their horses every day, That's 5 minutes south of the Burton, and so it's going to take them, tops 10 minutes to get there. That's one of the things that's would be beneficial for us, because like I said, when you go in there and you're showing them the school, and you're getting some kid from Texas, or a girl, let's just say I have a girl from Mexico right now on the team, and her parents come and they're like, man, she's not a very good driver, you know, and so it's like, how far is it from school to their horses? How far is it from where they live to their horses? And that was really the best. I feel like the best fit, unless you got something just a little more north, but you can't go north much more, you know. But that's been a big question, you know, do you have the land secured? And so we really want to secure the land to be able to build this, you know. Even the engineers and the architects, they have the plans of the building and the stall barn, but they don't have the land. And when they do a site, you know, they want to do a site plan and they want to do a picture so we can secure more funding, things like that, you know, the 3D drawings and all that good stuff. And I think that once we secure the land, I think this thing's going to take off.
So y'all do have drawings of the building and whatnot right now?
Well, they have the sketches from the buildings from the building manufacturer. Fortify over in Sulphur, they've done the drawings for us for the actual building, the structure itself, but they haven't made any 3D drawings or anything yet. They said they wanted to. They've started on them, but they don't have the drawings completed.
So what is the size footprint of the actual building?
The actual building is 250 foot. No, wait, sorry, take that back. If you can imagination, I guess you're looking at a 250 foot by 20 foot eave heights long by 150 foot wide. That 150 foot wide building will have a 40 foot ease awning off the back of it for the livestock pens and things like that. And then there'll be basically a 40 foot wraparound on two sides. The front side, the 150 foot side, that's where the weight room, offices, concession stand, and the meeting room will be. You know, like I know people are looking for big meeting rooms. My plans was to make a bigger meeting room. It'll be about 40 by 80 size meeting room. So that's what 3,200 square foot meeting room, and partition it where we can partition it into different rooms and set up one of them, of course, for a video room. It's right now if we want to buck horses or rope or goat tie or buck bulls or whatever, normally all our TVs and stuff are set up in our weight room, so we leave there, we go all the way over to the weight room, or we've been going to my house. I have a soccer facility south of town, and we go to my meeting room there because I already have the TV and everything set up, and we'll watch video till like 1 o'clock in the morning. It'd be a lot easier to and we watch them on the phone, but it's not the same. I'm actually doing research with the
Interrupt just a second.
Yes, sir.
What exactly is it that you're asking of?
We're asking for permission to use or utilize that 80 acres or get a lease on that 80 acres and then we can, you know, talk about.
Yeah, and while Mr. Tom's standing there, was this land not donated to us? And if it was, are there any use restrictions on it?
I'm not aware of any use restrictions. All they're asking for, that we don't have a CEA lease drafted, even thought about. All they're wanting to know is if it's something that you would favorably approve going forward. Ultimately, we'd have to draft a CEA, have a lot of things that have to be put into that, and don't even want to get into all the logistics of that. But all they want to know today, for the purpose of promoting it, funding it, and getting the money and getting it started, is that something that y'all would be interested in pursuing? If not, then they'll go someplace else. If your answer is yes, then they'll start working on their end. I'll start working on the CEA, and we'll come back later and adopt the CEA. If you can't reach an agreement, then it doesn't happen. But they just want to know, are you interested in going forward with this idea?
So I guess I would have to ask, what, other than from the sounds of it benefiting McNeese and rodeos, what would the parish gain off of this? As far as, I didn't hear nothing about 4-H shows or 4-H. I didn't hear nothing about any parish kids that's in rodeo being able to maybe utilize the arena for practices. Because I think we've seen it with the fishing building in Cameron. I wouldn't be in favor to help, I guess, in a way it would be a company profit off the parish. I mean, what would the parish gain off of this other than economic growth?
Economic growth. Okay. Yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, I didn't want to get into 4-H stuff, but it would be an option for the district livestock show to bring in to have 4-H shows. to have cattle shows, horse shows. Like I said, football team can use it. So yeah, that's option, and that's what I was asking. Like I was just asking the question earlier about like how many cattle, how many head of livestock do you have? Normally come to the Cameron Parish show, the district show, because we're kind of kicked out of there at that time. So I go in, I feed my livestock, and it's gone. So I wanted to know that because we want to help with that. If it's something that Cameron Parish wants to do, we get this thing built. Why not have it? Because it's a weekend. It's not, because the whole reason we're looking to build the facility is so we don't get kicked out, right? So we don't get moved for that. But if it's and I know the Cameron Parish show, it's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday show, or a Friday, Saturday, Sunday show. Am I correct?
I think from talking with them a little bit without all the facts, it's only like 45 to 50 kids. It's not major, but
exactly.
I think our biggest thing that I know I've been on 4-H heels because I'd like to see everything stay in Cameron Parish because unfortunately everything's been leaving. So I would like to maybe see, the 4-H is, their own people, own boss, but I would definitely like to see, the parish and the people, because at the end of the day, y'all are going to be on tax-paying property and stuff like that, which we would all love to see McNeese's big facility in Grand Lake for sure, and all the benefits it brings. But just from going through stuff, like I said, with this fishing building, for me, it would have to bring a lot of positivity for the actual taxpayers, other than just the private gain of the local companies, which is a benefit.
Yeah, economic. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I know right now, like the Burton, they still have a public ride that they do, but nobody goes to it. And then sometimes people will show up and they got it closed down to even us because there's an event going on or whatever, which is understandable, I guess. But that's some things that I had wrote down, and I told Mr. Butch and Seth that too. I said, we can do a public ride thing, one day a week, and it's just, and this would be a question to ask McNeese through the logistics, but like we just held a big boxing event, we do our rodeo, when we do our jackpots, things like that. I mean, really everybody that comes in, they sign a hold harmless agreement. And we have to protect ourselves for liability issues, and that's really our number one thing. So if we have, if we cover all our ends right there, then we love to partner with them and allow things like that to happen, to bring in, because there's not enough, like Seth said, there's not enough. They don't get enough education or opportunities, like even those kids that come and they get on our bucket machines and things like that, they sign a hold harmless agreement and we help them. I'm about helping people, and that's, if you know me or get to know me or know anybody that knows me, I want to help people, and that's what I do. I'm not, and if it means like, anyway, I'm not going to start talking about that. But I feel like,
is a McNeese leadership okay with building such facility in Cameron Parish?
So I've had a meeting with my boss, which he was the dean of the ag science. Most y'all know Tom Shields. I had a meeting with him the other day, and I told him I was coming down here, and he's got other meetings today, so he couldn't come. But he's behind it. If this goes any further, we will go to the president and the dean of, who basically the vice president and the dean of science, and go through the right channels to have a meeting. We just, we wanted to know, hey, is this an option to utilize this land? I've already told him, that, and that we don't want to use the Drips farm for a lot. It's a good way it would be hard to secure the money to use the Drips farm to secure a facility there.
If I could interrupt again.
Yes, sir.
I just want to tell you, I think it's a wonderful idea, but I think we've got a lot of questions, and I think this is probably not the best venue to answer those questions, to work out the details. So I'd love to set up a meeting, guys, just visit with these people and see what we can come up with. And Tom would be there; he'd be able to answer any contractual questions. But we could talk about this,
I could answer the academic stuff y'all were asking about. We talked about that before. I brought up 4-H and like FFA stuff. That was just a small example. I should have elaborated a little bit more on that. I've spoken to a few other county agents and things like that who wanted to do more, they just didn't really have a good place to do it, to set these things up. We brought some things years ago, some teachers, we brought some milk cows over there for teachers to show like classroom students, like how this takes place, and just different, outside of the realm of rodeo, all of the different things that these kids can be made aware of and take part in. Schools can do field trips, class trips, there's all kinds of, there's lots of stuff, and I've spoken to Justin about that, and we talked to Mr. Tom Shields about it, about being able to have the place and be able to foster this kind of growth, and Justin, and we're all in favor of it. So I hope that answered a little bit of your concern you were bringing up.
Yeah, I know for me, if we would involve, you know, the kids of the parish, or, you know, because a lot of that stuff is kind of dying, you know, that's all it used to be down here.
Yes.
You know, my nephew rodeos, he's got to go to different rodeos, arenas up north, whoever's got one open just for him to practice and stuff. You know, a lot of people, it costs a lot of money just to get a rodeo arena to practice roping and stuff in. So as long as we would include things that's going to benefit the people of the parish, I don't see why it'd be a bad deal to utilize the property. But solely for McNeese, you know, I probably wouldn't be for it. But if we could factor those things in and you know, keep it Cameron Parish along with McNeese, I would love to see it.
Yeah, we'll be able to iron all that out. You know.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. Like I said, I know there's a lot of hoops we gotta go through to move it forward, but I think it would be definitely a benefit for Cameron as well as McNeese and y'all's programs to something that we could expand with.
I'm not
look
sure
forward
there's
to
not
having a
one
meeting.
person up here that could confidently just say no to this. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity here. I think it's really early to really even talk about the nuts and bolts of it, but,
Right,
you know,
right, and I think that's what we're just, as Tom said a moment ago, we're just trying to get is this something you guys are willing to move forward with in negotiations?
I would.
Start ironing out these
I would be willing.
I think it's a great idea. I mean, anything to help the economics and help the parish, I mean,
So do you guys want me to coordinate a follow-up meeting?
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
With
Mr.
them?
Seth, could you
Okay,
get us
I'll get with
like a
Mr.
footprint of what it would look like, what y'all want to do on the property, so we can kind of just see how much it would take up?
That's something we
Yeah.
I think kind of in general, it'd be everything on the south side of the road that cuts through there
It
that's
would
left.
pick it up, and I believe Mr. Dartez also, he has some adjacent property to it, if I'm understanding it correctly, he said that he would, lease that out to him as well, just so that it's meant to use, so that's just a little bit more, you know.
Okay.
But everybody so far that we spoke to was really, you know, excited with the idea, and when my people in southeast Texas found out about it, you know, we're only like 35 miles from southeast Texas, you know, those guys they struggle with the same types of things that we do. Things are dying down, retracting as far as like those types of engagements for schools and kids. Those things they can do. Thank you.
And also, Seth, I'd like to, you know, hat goes off to you, your dad, and McNeese for, you know, getting this started and doing a lot of, I know y'all got a lot of footwork in it, so, you know, it's like anything else. It's a good thing coming, but if we can get something in there for the parish and the kids, I'm gonna poke y'all a little bit to try to get what we
That's
can.
the idea. That's the idea. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. McCall?
I just want to introduce Chris and tell you, so we've been in discussion, you have a committee on the fisheries building. Mr. Watson and Mr. McGee, I think, met with us and Chris sometime back, discussed Chris's thoughts and ideas of leasing that building. So he just wanted to come inform the entire jury of his plans. He'll tell you that they want to get a lease on the building, but the term wouldn't start for some period of time because there's a few things that have to happen outside of our control, is at the state level, for him to be profitable or have the chance to be profitable with the building. But we don't have anybody else standing in line asking about the building, and Chris has some great ideas, and if he can get everything you know comes into place, it could be very favorable, in my opinion, to the seafood industry for Cameron Parish. And I'll let Chris tell you the rest of it. If you have any questions, you know, I'll try to help you out. So, Chris.
Thank you very much, Tom. Chris McCall, 50-year-old, born and raised Grand Chenier. Been managing an entity called Little Pecan Island for 26 years now. Seen a lot of different faces and provided a lot of jobs for the parish. Local folks and that type of deal. Private entity naturally, so, but the building process through that, we was able to, I think, do a lot of great unrecognized things for the parish per se. I developed a private entity myself. I'm not funded by anyone. I've got a couple great teammates, Cody Crift, which is with me, and Miss Lauren Dunlap. They're both from Texas. Cody, basically is 5 years ahead of the game in this. He told me 5 years ago, Chris, you need to mess with some oysters, and good thing I didn't, because Hurricane Laura come and I wouldn't have had a plan. I've been through Rita, been through Laura, and had 500 head of cattle with another entity, and none of that was any fun. So I reset, teamed up. Cody's got a hatchery over in Florida. Louisiana, unfortunately, the local park has some pretty stiff rules on where we can get seed stuff from. We're working diligently on that. And then Miss Lauren, she's the only female oyster farmer in Texas. And she's got some great vibe on, just helping us with a lot of this play. So that's kind of the start off. The fisheries building, we think it's an opportunity. I've heard Mr. Mark kind of stressing on what does it bring to the parish. It's gonna bring opportunity, not solely on shrimp or not solely on crabs, as that basically hadn't worked the last 5 times. With being involved in the oyster park and the port, we think the big footprint of that is we've got working on park expansions. Does that affect a lot of people? It does. It's going to involve, maybe us possible to get more acreage and other people that are interested. We're discussing with the local fishermen. Some of them local fishermen are directly, indirectly working for us right now. With they work, they help, they pay. There's 50 to 81-year-old folks that are tongue and limestone oysters. There's not any 20-year-old out there. And then, so the big footprint of this to make the shrimp shop work, the ice house work, is basically increasing the production of the top form oysters, discussing or allowing the dredging of the wild oysters at West Cove. There would probably be 25 boats starting in October that would be interested in that underneath the plan. And marketing most of all that product through that shrimp shop. Then the shrimp shop wouldn't strictly be viable on relying on shrimp, relying on crabs. With that big play, I think, top dollar to the individuals of the fishermen right now. The fishermen are driving all over Lake Charles and wherever to sell their product. There's nobody in Cameron buying that in high volume. So that's kind of where we're at with it. There's a lot of gray areas on the shrimp shop. I'm the Oyster Ranch, if you would say. I don't have any other entities support me. I don't have any government agencies. I got a little late start on that and missed out on some of the loans or some of the grants that Sea Grant provided for that. So it's been all out of pocket for me. This shrimp shop would be out of pocket for me. So we're focusing on a big play. Hopefully we can put some stuff together where we will be available to get some grants and get some help from that. And I take any questions y'all have. I'd like maybe Cody or Lauren to come up and just say a few things about the real logistics side of it. So.
The only question I'd like for you to verify, this is gonna be good for the crabbers? The fishermen, the shrimpers, everybody.
With the footprint expanding based around an oyster. Just want to make sure everybody understands that, because that's the big footprint of what works there. That would allow the shrimp shop to be successful with shrimp, with crabs, and all the entities, ice, hopefully put a fueling station there, hopefully, get the ice plant going, hopefully be able to call in grocery orders and get some of the big boats back in there. I mean, back 25 years ago, you know, born and raised in Grand Chenier. I mean, 30 years ago, you know, my dad made a living welding up the big boats, you know.
But
And
that just means, all I'm trying to say is that it will support all the fisheries in Cameron. It'll be good for everybody. Ice will be available, possibly fuel, no telling what other services they may be able to render, and at least be able to market the products. So I think it'd be good for all of Cameron.
Yeah, Mr. Chris, I'm sorry
Yes,
I missed our meeting with you. I'm on the committee, but you know, at the end of the day, I don't think the police jury should offset the cost for a private business, but we do have a lot of fishermen. We do have the facility that is the police jurors. The biggest thing to us was the cost it was costing us out of the general fund. But I think it's amazing that you stepped up and wanting to get this building. You know, I watched a bunch of cages pass over the weekend in front of the house. I'm sure they was busy. I'm kind of hearing it sounds like y'all trying to grow instead of buying the seed. It sounds like y'all might get into hatching the seed.
what? That gets in a whole nother play. The shrimp shop's there off the you know, the Virgin, off the ship channel, so the water's spectacular. And you know, dabbling with the top form oysters. The one thing we found is the seed. You know, you don't put any bait in the traps. You buy the seed and you know, put that in traps and then grow them out. And as we've been digging into this seed's the big issue. And our top form oyster per se is not really, it's brand new to southeast Louisiana, or southwest Louisiana, should I say. It's really, really popular southeast. And all the agencies that we've talked to are all on board to, per se, possibly not lend us any financial dollars, but just knowledge, helping hand, and support, basically, more than anything, of maybe a hatchery sitting right here in Cameron in that shrimp shop. So.
Because I know a lot of you kind of get into a little bit of everything over the years, watching and growing up, and hearing about you and stuff. It's the first time I ever actually seen you face to face. But most of the things you do, you pretty much you take it over and do an excellent job at it, and very successful. So hopefully along the way you'll be able to, you know, maybe buy some of the shrimp or crabs, get into a little bit of everything to help everybody. But
Well, I think the primary focus to the shrimp shop is 100% getting the shrimp,
yeah,
the shrimpers, the crabbers, and getting a premium, and you know, taking them in the crawfish business and all that mess. And in today's world, you got middlemen. So if I can get it from the local fisherman and process it to the distributor and get them a more premium price, right? But none of the shrimp and crabs are going to work without the big footprint of the oysters, shrimp, crabs,
yes,
whole play.
I think the oyster is the beneficial factor, especially to draw you in, because with just the shrimp and crabs,
it's tough.
You know, nobody was coming. So hopefully you could turn the fisheries around and hopefully you know, help out the shrimpers and stuff in Cameron. So I appreciate you going on this endeavor.
What I'd like to do, and we'll send out an email, is get the committee back together this month. Because what Chris is looking for is a lease CEA agreement between the police jury. Mr. Henry was in a meeting we had last week or so, because they own the property, we own the building, and Chris wants to lease it, so all three parties would be involved. But if the committee could meet and you start putting together some terms and conditions and what are y'all looking for and expect out of the tenant, so that Chris can get something again. He wouldn't. From what I understand, his operations are beginning operations of that fish house. He needs the legislature to expand the park and do some other things with respect to West Cove or Big Lake. Again, that's beyond our control. Chris has got to work with the state on that. So he's saying that oyster aspect includes those things, and this whole program doesn't work without those other state projects coming through for him. But he does want to get started, and he needs the building to show the state, as well as getting grants and so forth and so on, that he has access to the property, permitting him to use the building going forward. But we'll work on that details with the committee and then bring it to the jury as a whole. But I think what it is, he'd like us to get started on that part.
Chris, I know I'm gonna be echoing kind of what Mark said, but man, I never met you in person, but I see a lot of the fruits of your labor. So I'm really enthused, and I want to thank you on behalf of the jury, because you know what it is in 2025 as far as branding. you know, getting products and advertisement. I watch your LPC cattle, you know, I think that's the key. I think it really is. I think that's the only hope to bring this industry back is, we can't depend on Cameron Parish. We gotta get it out there. So I really thank you for even looking into this, and anything we can do to help, please let us know.
I appreciate that. And just to recap, I keep mentioning oysters. There's bottom oysters, what's been going on and sustaining this forever, and there's top oysters. And that whole play is both. It's not just a top oyster.
And I can tell you, as a testament of sissy oyster eater like myself, I kind of like them top oysters.
Oh, they're very.
So, and I think there's a lot of other sissies in the world just like me. So I think it's a go. I really do. I think it's awesome.
and them on their own, they won't sustain their stealthy or sustain the shrimp shop. So it's a big play of the footprint of including every local fisherman. Hopefully expanding that to more young local fishermen in the parish, and then including that top deal is just a bonus, you know, for the parish, for the poor, you know, the whole.
Awesome vision. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Mr. Chris.
All right, agenda review. Sonny?
Yeah, you ready?
Yes, sir.
Number 6, High Bar Operating Company. You wanna explain that to me just a little bit?
This is located east of Murier Road off of Little Chenier.
Right.
It's drilling, they calling it Shin Shin number 1 and number 2 prospect wells. It's an existing drill site. And also installing a flow line.
And this is conventional oil and gas drilling?
Yes.
Okay. All right, while you're up there, number F, ERM, Environmental Site Investigation.
This is the same as you've been seeing. This is part of a litigation project as well.
Are they talking about drilling some wells, or is it just gonna be test wells, or what?
Okay, hang on, F, that was the wrong one, okay. D plate, yeah, this is environmental site investigation, they're gonna be drilling some soil settlement samplings and installing temporary monitoring wells for environmental conditions.
So what are they looking for?
This is for litigation, that's it. For groundwater contaminants.
Okay. I think that's all. Permit questions. I got anybody, got any more permit questions?
Hey, Ms. Kara, number 7 for the Miami Bee, is that's probably not gonna shut the road down or nothing to do that project, or?
No, it's not.
And I guess that's a well pipe they're talking about, some kind of flow line or something?
Yes. They have an exposed pipeline, I think from Laura, they had a lot of washouts around there, so
Yes,
they're having to cover.
We're done with the permit cycle. To number 14, designate the retention officer. I just need to say parish secretary, am I correct? Would we say parish secretary?
Sure.
Okay. And if nobody else is ready, I'll go on 21. Is this a new tax, increase in tax?
It is a new tax.
It's a new tax.
For a new district that you
That's a new
created.
district.
That's for Klondike, Lowry area.
Oh, okay. I didn't gather that from that, which written up.
Hey,
Number
stay-
22,
stay
are you up there? Number 22, is it hospital tax?
It's a renewal.
It's a renewal, we call it a continuation. That terminology all comes through the bond commission and Secretary of State, but it is the 10-year renewal for the hospital tax. That's it.
That's all the questions I got, guys.
Hey, Mr. Tom, before you sit down, number 9 on Kell Ryan Road, we were looking to adopt that small section. After a vote today, this thing is finally complete, or how much we got left on it? I know Brian was working on this.
I think this is it. We have the signed documents to transfer the right of way from the multiple owners.
Awesome.
This was just a technical clarification because we had something, an error.
Yeah, it said Kell Ryan Road instead of Norway.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I just wanted to make sure. I know we've been working on that for a while, so.
No, it's ready to go. We have the signed document. This was just clarifying the correct name of the road.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. President, for number 27, I don't know if Ms. Robin wants to come up and give a little information, but we spoke about it a while back about the park model trailers and the porches. I've been doing a lot of research, and unfortunately, I run on permits and building codes. I know FEMA says the definition of a park model is 400 square foot on the horizontal beams. But unfortunately, at the federal level, the state or the parish cannot take away from it. They can only exceed it. But in Louisiana, the Louisiana Manufacturing Housing Committee that governs these trailers and trailer houses does not recognize porches as square footage. They're actually selling them 400 square foot, and it does not include the porches. So what I would like to ask is to direct our staff to go into further discussion with FEMA and hopefully work out the kink. Because to me, if the state should do it, I don't see how they can take away from FEMA. So to me, there's a discrepancy, and anything I could do or we could do to fight FEMA to kind of get away from some of their building codes, because we have to follow them all. But if we can get a win here or there for the people, I would really like to see our staff, try to fight instead of just say yes. So that's all I'm asking, and I've been working on that kind of myself. I know Mr. Tom helped, Miss Robin, and quite a bit of staff, so.
I got a question for Tom. How if we change that, we change our ordinance without the approval of FEMA?
I don't think anybody's asking to change it without approval of FEMA.
No.
Mr. Mark wants us to meet with them to show them
I
what
may be
our.
asking for us to do that, but I'm saying, I would like to know what would be the repercussions that we could expect with FEMA.
We would probably lose our NFIP, so that's why I think it's very important before we change it. Today, I wouldn't like to see us change it or advertise anything. I would like to direct the staff to have further discussion and kind of see if we can iron some kinks out on this and see if it will be allowed. I think.
We want to go meet with the regional staff. We've been dealing directly with district. We want to go above and go to the regional office.
Yeah.
And meet with them, Tom, Robin, and myself, and maybe Ajor, and go talk and explain to them what the discrepancies are and why we're asking to change this.
I think my biggest thing, Mr. Sonny, is nobody, everybody you hear from the public, why were you here with FEMA and all that, and instead of just sitting here and always just reading and not fighting back, to me, anytime we have a discrepancy like this, if it wouldn't be a discrepancy, I wouldn't ask the staff to waste their time or nothing, but I think we can gain a little traction, and if we can get a little win and FEMA agrees, or it could be a no, but I think it's time for the staff to fight and stand up for the people and at least try to get some wins here or there.
We brought this up before, and the reason I'm hitting on it is that when you go over to the Galveston area, I see buildings on the ground, I see lumber yards on the ground, I see all kind of different what I would consider exceptions to the rule. So I'm just wondering if we make rule changes in our own ordinances, or do we need to do that first to put the pressure on FEMA to?
I think, and maybe Mr. Tom might agree or disagree, I think a lot of it comes from interpretation of what you're reading as the government body, and what's happening a lot of times, more so than none, we'll email FEMA and ask them something. Well, of course, they're going to stick to it and go worst case scenario. So I would personally like, and this is a big reason why I run, I would like to try to use more of interpretation and actually push and start fighting back a little bit for us, because we got to do something. If we follow their rules to a T, there's a lot of stuff that should be
We've
here
fought
now.
this battle before. I mean, all the way up to.
We have historically, and I think we're through months of emails and conversation, I think we have, I say we collectively, Mark, the permit department, and if I left somebody out, we've come up with, I think, a pretty limited amendment to accommodate what we call park models and the porch issue. And And that is simply, even back up further, our ordinance, we hear repeatedly from FEMA is that, hey, that's y'all's ordinance. Well, our ordinance is taken from their language. I mean, they being FEMA. FEMA provides the language that we've adopted, and then they won't let us change our ordinance unless they approve it, in essence. So I agree, with Mark, we want to push back on this issue. And all that I'm looking, and what we're proposing, and this is in general, I mean, I don't want to get too technical, but a recreational vehicle under FEMA's definition and our ordinance, because we copy them, a recreational vehicle is less than 400 square feet. And the question is, well, how do you measure that 400 square feet? Well, it's basically measured at the largest horizontal projection, which is the tongue. Which you've got a tongue, probably some angle iron before you get to the living quarters, but that's all included under their interpretation and historically how we've interpreted, because that's how they've told us to interpret it. What we would simply like to do is, we'll leave that alone, 400 square feet, largest horizontal projection, excluding porches. That we just don't want to include porches within that 400 square feet. And we can put, maybe even go further and say excluding porches not to exceed, 10 by 10 or something. We can put a limit so that the porch can't be twice as much as the living quarters. But I think that's a reasonable request. And that's all we would be asking. And what I would ask y'all today is for your vote to support that change. We're not amending our ordinance, because while FEMA often will not put in writing what they tell us verbally, I say the district office, they have communicated to us within the last week that if we make this change, then we're going on probation or exclude. I mean, they've made some pretty serious threats about the consequences to this parish and everybody. But I would like to be able to go to FEMA. Congressman Higgins' office has said he'll support, and he understands what's going on. We've had conversations, and I think we can get support out of him for this simple change. But I would like y'all to vote not to change the ordinance, but y'all approve this recommendation, and for council, DA's office, and the permanent department administrator to go to FEMA, as well as any congressman or senator that will listen to us to try to help us. But I would like them to know that y'all support this unanimously, hopefully. Just to exclude porches from park models, and we can limit what the porch looks, the degree.
And just to go into a little detail on it for the jury and the people, this seems like it wouldn't be a big deal. Why even look at it? Well, first off, once I was elected, Miss Sonia McGee, which early on, she wasn't allowed to have hers because 8 foot, and once we got past that curve, she couldn't have it because the tongue put her at 401 square foot when it's sold by Louisiana manufacturer and stamped from the state as 400 square foot. Well, fighting with FEMA, I said, well, the tongue don't count because they're gonna run into each other. That's not horizontal. And with help from Miss Robin, they excluded the tongues, which it was a no. So now she has her park model on the beach. They move it in and out. So she benefited from that. Mr. Craig DuPont had one with a porch on it, which it's stamped from Louisiana Manufactured Housing that governs it. And he ended up giving up a little short because it had been a long process, and he sold it. He had it and everything. But they're saying his is, I forgot what it would be, he got a 5 foot porch, but on the documents from the state, they're selling them in Louisiana as 400 foot square foot park models with a RV title. So, it kind of don't seem like a big deal, but to some people, it's a big deal.
Just to be clear, I support this, but I would support it further if they even said no.
Yeah,
we might even consider adopting ordinance anyway.
No, absolutely.
They have put their foot on our neck for many years, and if we don't wiggle a little bit, they're never going to take it off.
Yep. And that's what my goal is, Mr. Sonny, is to push back. By no means, I'm all about documents. If we ain't got it in black and white and you can't prove it, then to me it don't exist. And I think on this one, we got a little fight in it, but at the end of the day, I don't wanna direct the staff to do it if we're uncertain. I want it in black and white, and, I mean, black and white, you can't go wrong with it, so sometimes you gotta take a leap of faith, it might be a no. If it is, I hate it to bug Miss Robin and Mr. Tom and them so much, cause I know they got a lot of stuff to do, but, I think we got a lot of hours in this, and I would like to see it continue, but, with reassurance, have the black and white and fight back a little bit. Let's get her done.
You know, when y'all say this, just to add a little bit of color, I haven't really talked to everybody on the jury about this, but probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago, me and the staff joined a call with FEMA. And just to let y'all know the fertile soil that's out there with the ability on this, we got in discussion about regulation and whatnot. And likewise to Mark, one of my big chances to run and wanted to run was we're killing our youth and elderly in this community with these regulations. That's one thing I spoke up on a state and federal level. And the point that I said fertile soil is because in this discussion with me trying to find exemptions, something possible to help youth and elderly, one of the head directors in DC mentioned, Mr. Fuel, you know, as much as you're passionate about this topic, I'm not sure if I could sleep tonight because knowing that elderly and youth people are below the floodplain. And I didn't want to embarrass the lady on the call, but they're looking at Cameron Parish like we're sitting at the foot of the Hoover Dam, and at any minute it could break. And that's not really the facts here. The facts here is the only time we see these catastrophic floodwaters is with a category 4 or 5, and we got well a notice to get out of here. So, you know, I think there's a lot of opportunity. I hate the word fight. I hate the word, you know, I say collaboration with FEMA. I think there's a lot of ability here moving forward. And this is just one perfect example. So I think as a jury, we can all stick together, and I think there's a lot of opportunity to try to make these regulations a little bit better to fit Cameron Parish, because Sonny is right. We can go right next door to Galveston, and I was sitting at IHOP eating right there on the ground. So, you know, I think it's good discussion, and let's continue to move forward in that direction. Appreciate it.
And I'll just beat up on it a little more, because I'm hard-headed. I'm a firm believer that, to me, that Cameron Parish ain't a flood zone. To me, if it rains and you flood, you're in a flood zone. Nowhere's in Cameron Parish do we flood for a rain that's gonna get into somebody's house or anything. It's only a national disaster. So I don't want the staff really to do it. I'd rather do it myself, because one day they'll have to deal with the staff and probably not me, but I would rather be the bad guy going fight FEMA than you know, basically putting the face of the police jury as the staff, so to speak. So I don't mind being
collaborate with FEMA. Collaborate.
Yeah. Either way, I'd rather use fight, because a win's a win in my book. So I really thank you, Mr. Tom, and your staff, and our staff too. I know a lot of times it goes unnoticed, so I just want to throw that out there. Thank you.
Any other questions on the agenda?
Mr. President, do y'all want to do the add-on for the consideration of support of the resolution for CAFA bond that Ms. Kristen talked about?
Make a motion, we add that on.
Okay.
I'll second it, Mr. President.
All right.
And then-
Motion by Mr. Michael, second by Mr. Mark. All in favor? Motion carried.
Mary, where's the change order 8 that I emailed you Friday? It's on here.
So also, we received a change order, concerning the North Cameron EOC drainage. I gave it to y'all right before the meeting. They're asking for an increase in contract for $6,913.68 and 4 days added to the contract time, for the drainage with the fire station and the Council on Aging building.
It was from my understanding, is Poche and May here to maybe discuss a little bit about it? If you don't mind, Mr. President?
No, it's fine. Come on up, sir.
Good morning. How are y'all? Derek Porsche with Porsche May Architects. Here to answer any questions. We spoke about this a couple of months ago. We finally did get the change order after some back and forth, where we did issue a letter of recommendation Just here to see if there's any questions or any clarifications I can provide.
I got two questions. Number one, how did this miss the original design?
I'm sorry, say it again?
How did it miss the original design that it could be a potential flood is my first question. My second question was did the construction team not notice that we possibly could have been damming up some water there? So that's my two questions.
Absolutely. Yes, great question. So the process of design started in 2021 with the demo of the fire station. The design started late 2022. So as we were bidding the job, during the bid, the advertisement for bid, we were notified of that fire station being built. At that point, we did issue an addendum, number 3, which was a very tight timeline due to the advertising of bids, otherwise we would have had to pull it back off of the public. Those addendums did try to address parking revisions, curb cut revisions. Also, we were gonna demo that road that is currently there, so we were issuing a lot of back and forth to try to get it into the bid. So that building being installed without our knowledge of during that process is essentially what transpired.
So with the building not being there, it would still flood the same spot because that's the way the water drains. So I'm pretty familiar with dirt work and the building because I'm the one that built the pad for it before I was a juryman. So we was just gonna have a pond there? Because I mean, from my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think the police jury pays a good bit of money for y'all to design something that's work and we shouldn't flood our own property. And in doing so, I know Miss Dinah was very upset and a lot of moving parts, and some of our staff now has to go out there and pump it out and stuff. So at what point do we, issue a change order? To me, I think that's a shortfall on the design.
The building that was installed, I did ask for information on that, and I didn't get any. The elevations and kind of what the drawings might have shown for permitting. So I really can't speak on that building. I can say that any impediment into certain areas does affect drainage, so it's kind of, it doesn't go unnoticed. Also, the neighboring property does drain onto this property. So the neighbors being draining onto here is it's not a permittable design. So
whenever y'all do it, I'm sure y'all do like a flood study or something. That neighbor properties always drain onto this property, and it always flow to the south. It don't flow back to the road. All the way at the north side of the property, which is the way the water drains, y'all put in a driveway with no culvert. Y'all impeded the drainage with the 2 adjacent properties there before the building. And the building was built on top of the natural ground, and it does not impede anything. The only thing the building's doing, from my understanding, is taking up more volume. That would be more water.
no, not necessarily, because the water will still shed. It'll run
So
off.
if we move the building, it would drain the water.
Can't really speak on that because the building is there. So it's.
I don't think that's, the other property is higher. It's gotta go where y'all put y'all's driveway.
Was this noted in the design?
I'm sorry?
Was this noted in the design that the water was draining to this property?
No, there was no, drainage analysis doesn't take, you don't do analysis on neighboring runoff onto, because it's just not, it's not a standard practice. So for one property to be responsible for the neighboring property's runoff is a misconception, I think. And that's where the design originally started, but there was no information on the building. I just can't speak on it. It was installed during bidding, and I asked for the base flood elevation certificates and permit drawings and things like that, so I could come and speak on its behalf. I haven't received anything, so I really can't address that building.
And then I don't look at the documents and know much on it, but in my understanding, what y'all designed was a pond and a fish pond, and the only deciding factor is a building that was built on top of the natural ground that
I think we need to clarify that where you're saying the runoff is not being ran, it's not on the same property that we were in charge of. It's on an adjacent property that property owner drains onto that themselves.
I'm pretty sure the same property that the building is on, or maybe not, because it's right south of where you built the driveway. The building and the parking lot ain't the problem. It's that, what is it, 4 or 5 feet that you built to connect to the council on aging? Cement slab maybe is what's stopping the water?
No, sir, he hasn't connected to the council on aging.
Oh, it's not,
It's not connected. What's happened is the runoff is coming and it falls in the place where there is no connections. That's where that problem is.
yeah, but they gotta have dirt or rock or something that's stopping the water from draining back to the north.
Well, it's the height of their concrete and
Mr.
that
Garrett,
concrete
it's
slab
very,
is-
very apparent that it's tough for you to really say that it was design flaw. So I guess moving forward, how do we prevent this from happening moving forward?
I would have liked the opportunity as the design professional on the Grand Lake, the North Cameron Emergency Operations Center on that property to have been made aware so we could have worked together on the installation of a building. That we did after that building was installed, worked a lot over a couple of years to mitigate curb cuts, to allow access into a building we had no part in, to get change orders for the road to not be demoed. We were gonna hydro seed and grade. So there's a lot of collaboration, sadly, it was just after the fact.
Have y'all come up with a solution?
Yes, sir.
And what is that?
That solution is to put catch basins in, essentially, basic catch.
Gravity drain or pump?
Gravity.
So at what point was y'all made aware of the water, this problem with the water?
We started our addendum 3, which was based off of access in January of last year. So January 2024 was when the circulation path leading to that building, we needed to mitigate our design to accommodate for that building's location.
At what point though did y'all say, hey, we got a problem, we're holding water? When we brought it up to y'all when it was holding water, or?
The construction team didn't have a concern of this?
What's that, I'm sorry?
The construction team, that was my second question. I know we didn't get there, but.
I think it was brought up to them. Not that anybody wasn't concerned, but I think it was brought up to the construction team, which we then, so September, let's see, so January of this year, we started working on the ASI 14 to narrate the ability to get a change order processed. So,
because I was under the impression and told that, I don't know the gentleman's name, maybe Mr. Randy does, early on, he brought it to, I guess, his superiors on y'all's side attention, and y'all said y'all just get to it at a later date with a change order or something to that nature.
it's the way that government funds. It's state money. So yes, that is the proper way to address change orders.
So, I mean, to me, I mean, I think y'all started off at like 17,000 or something. Y'all got it narrowed down to, what is it, like 6,000?
6,900.
So, would it be safe to say to me, every dime we could save, because every time we turn around, you know, we're pinching pennies as the police jury. If we get you all your information for the building, would you be able to tell us if that building wasn't there, if it would still flood, or?
I could do a better job of it, certainly. With more information provided, I can't, without the information, I can't tell you what the information holds.
I just think that, I know it's hard to get companies to come down here and do work, but I think at the end of the day, I know if it was my pocketbook and I was paying for it, I would be pushing for you or your insurance you have to be paying for it other than our money, because we pay an engineer to design it, not to have this, because if we wouldn't, if not, we would basically just design it ourselves and handle the shortfalls when we get there.
And that's what I think did with the fire station. I thought that is and that caused some confusion. So definitely keeping things with professional records so we can communicate tends to be the path of least resistance. But yes, and
So your defense is that buildings causing the flooding?
I'm saying that we were just unaware of a lot of things that transpired at the neighboring property, at the location where the runoff is happening, and there's probably a sign that says things need to be looked into a little closer. There's too many variables overlapping to assume it's not.
So the catch, you said the catch basins are the permanent solution for this? When are they gonna get installed?
Well, as soon as we can approve it, we're gonna issue it. I will say that the design, including the materials and labor, would have been the same, if not better, that we're working with. So it would have been part of the job, therefore it would have been paid. It's just happening now rather than at the beginning, if we were made aware of the construction that was going on.
So this is concrete basins?
No, these are light commercial, so a polymer.
And then you're just gonna have one in that one area?
I think there's two.
And what size are your culvert, your drainage culverts?
They are, I think 12 by 12 as far as the basin, and it's probably a 6-inch to 8-inch pipe, but we can double check and get you more information if you require.
Mr. Randy, I know you brought up to our attention about the size pipe that's gonna be draining the water. He's saying it's gonna be like a 6-inch.
Yeah, that's what I just heard of. You know, to me, it needs to be at least 20 foot catch basin. You know, it could be out of PVC, but to me, I mean, we got a lot of water hitting that area.
Yeah, we
Now, I
certainly
ain't-
don't
I
wanna
ain't-
change
I ain't
over and
engineer.
solve the issue, that's for sure.
So,
That's the only concern,
I haven't
that
seen
side
no
of the
scope
pavement that was brought up was the size pipe that would be used.
I haven't seen the scope work. I got, it was just what you got, just a change order, and I looked at it this morning, I don't see no size or
We
anything.
sent that in prior, this was just paperwork, I can resend
Okay.
it. Absolutely. And I'll double check the sizes, gentlemen. But we did run the calculations, we see what's there, it's not a large area, it's a compacted area. It's jammed with parking lots and buildings at the moment.
Yeah,
and
it just
and
sounds like a
trees.
small area that's getting runoff all the way around, so.
Yeah, the entire Council on Aging property is draining into that spot.
So.
We are not. The North Cameron Emergency Operations Center, our design, is completely self-contained as we are required to be. We are not running off on anybody else's neighboring.
So, at what point in time did y'all learn all the council and agent property would be draining into the catch basin where we're gonna be looking at?
At what point did we learn? So we started discussions on issuing this in January of this year, or at least that's when the paperwork. That's what.
So, from my understanding, it sounds like y'all was very aware that water draining there. Y'all just didn't design a culvert or anything to drain that area.
At what point? I'm sorry. At the beginning of design, like during design, we were not aware of the existing circumstances until this was advertised for public bidding after 2 years of design. At that point, we were made aware of it, but only in the instance of vehicular traffic to reach the building that y'all installed. We modified the parking lot to accommodate for that circulation for vehicles, and for the side door, we removed curbs, the 6-inch curbs, we removed sections to allow for y'all to install limestone to get to the building.
So in the initial design, they didn't have nothing to connect the two parking lots?
The initial design, okay, which parking lots, I'm sorry?
The one y'all building now and the one that was already existing for council and agency.
We included maintaining access to the Council on Aging building, if I'm answering your question.
Was that a temporary thing while construction, or was it a permanent thing, or?
I would say it's permanent. I don't remember any temporary permits.
If it was temporary or something, I could understand maybe that would be on our part, but if it was, gonna be permanent from the beginning of the scope of work, I would kinda have to, in my opinion, push back and leave it up to the design team.
Yes, just can't answer that because we didn't realize the existing conditions that we're gonna have to work with, which is a fire station. So, but I can see if there was any temporary curb cuts or anything issue.
Yeah, cause I'm very familiar with the area and maybe that's be my issue, cause, around there, I shot it with transit, the slopes hard that way. We're talking, what this building costs, almost $1 million? It was like 900,000 or something to that nature?
Which building?
Yeah, so we invested a lot of money and I went over there and built a $2 dirt hill or rock hill, so to speak, and I knew which way the water's draining, so I have a hard time understanding how we did not foresee the water going that way.
I don't think the water wasn't foreseen, as in the building that was built was just not something that we were aware of, and that building off of our property and our runoff being contained, any runoff happening at that location, we are not adding to that. Is on this site. This site is not running on that spot. So
I know y'all wouldn't be adding to the water, but y'all stopped the water from flowing.
I would say that the conditions were changed at some point during bidding. So yeah, well, we'd love to get the drawings. But again, we're referring to something. I would love the information so I could speak on behalf of it.
Could I ask a question?
Please.
Randy, is this proposed change order gonna fix the problem?
Well, I haven't seen no scope of work yet, but I'm assuming you're gonna put enough catch basin in.
With the size of pipe and the size of catch basin that he's talking about?
It probably would solve the problem if it's the right size.
Do you think so too? Ms. Donna? Yes.
Mr. Sonny, I just wanted to clarify something. Is our parking lot, the parking lot's gonna match, or are we still gonna have that ditch?
Yes, you're talking south of, between the two parking lots, there's a low area.
Is a ditch?
As the building on towards the
Yeah,
west side got picked up. It's basically a void, and that's the only place for the water to go. And y'all block the route of the water that drains with the driveway.
You reminded me of something that's very important, and I appreciate that. The scope of work originally had the road and that entire side being regraded and hydroseeded for proper grading. When that building was installed, we credited back all of that work to the jury. There was no need to delete the road when you needed it. So that being put back in, but the opportunity to regrade and
So basically, when y'all built it, y'all was gonna pick up all that property, is why y'all.
pick up versus regrading, I would just be, but regrading, hydroseeding, and
Well,
after
in my
the-
opinion, you'd have to pick it up even with the concrete for the water to flow over it.
Maybe so.
Either y'all had to elevate it to the concrete or put a catch basin in from the start, so.
Again, I think that some of our scope of work changed without our knowledge. In that exact area, when we were quite literally regrading it for proper runoff, building was installed. We've been pivoting with that building installation for a couple of years now.
Okay.
So,
Mr. Derrick, you can tell how much the jury loves change orders, right?
trust me, this has been doing this for a few years now. I know.
Hey, look,
aware.
let's make sure if we're gonna do something, we're gonna do it right. So I really would like to challenge you to work with Mr. Thomas there.
Absolutely.
Let's make sure that we got the correct size. I see Ms. Donna raising her hand.
Yeah, I'm still confused about what's gonna happen in front of my building where half the parking lot was cut off. Where the ditch is.
It sounds like they're gonna put a culvert, Miss Dinah, and all the water is gonna drain underneath the existing, which it sounds like they might have to tear it up, I don't know. But, the void's gonna stay there, but the water should drain
So
back naturally.
I will never have the parking back.
I would say no from listening.
Are you referring?
Or my other driveway.
I think
that
there's a
was cut out.
disconnect.
Yeah.
Can I clarify? I think there's a disconnect in the
Yes.
two topics. Okay. The drainage is the change order solves the drainage.
Right.
The portion of concrete that was cut out, and again, I'm going off of memory, so correct me. There was a portion of concrete poured to expand a few parking spots for that council on aging, which is that portion that was, it's to the north, which is in the direction of the runoff. Now, that was removed.
And the driveway was removed.
Yes. Now, I need to check on that, but I'm pretty sure the contractor has to reinstall that. Can I check on that?
Because if not, then I'm completely out of parking space.
I would be surprised. I just don't want to say without confirming. Is that fair?
Sure.
That I can, okay.
Yeah, it sounds like it to me, she had 2 points to get in there.
It would not make sense to not reinstall something.
I know.
Please let me check, Ms. Dinah, please.
Okay.
I just don't want to say anything that I'm not 100%. Yes, sir.
I guess we can address the change order today, but can we definitely see
That's
what's
my
going?
first call.
Because if we do a change order, for the one spot, and y'all got to put something south of that, then we're going to create
Yeah,
another problem.
These are, the change order can be approved independently, and I'm gonna make sure that Ms. Stein is answered appropriately in just a few minutes.
I
Okay?
appreciate all the.
Time frame for this drainage and.
If I have to get the shovel myself as soon as we can get the contractor to install, trust me, it is in all of our best interest to get this installed as soon as we can and have it absolutely adequate in all things.
Mary, need to add it.
No, the change orders, yeah, the change order's gonna be an add-on. COR 008 for $6,913.68 for drainage of fire station and council on aging.
And,
But I have another
but
one too.
I think Mr. Randy needs to see these, all your sizes and whatnot.
If,
Mr. Derrick said if it's a larger size, he'll cover that bill, right?
how about if we can, if you want, just to make sure time is expedited for Ms. Stein in the next rain, if you do approve it, I can make sure, and anything that changes, we'll make sure to accommodate.
So just for our peace of mind, because I know we pay you a good bit of money to design this, if it does not drain the water, that'll be at y'all's responsibility, correct?
I'm here every time offering my pound of flesh.
Yeah.
I've never run, and I put on my big boy pants every day. But at the same time, I am a professional record, and I will talk facts and math. And if I could get those building drawings, permit drawings.
Absolutely, Mr. Randy, if you wouldn't mind seeing if you can get what you wanted,
Yeah, but like I said, what you just brought up,
I think if the building wasn't there, you're gonna have the same problem, in my opinion.
Well, we had scope of work at that location. We weren't allowed to finish and perform.
Yeah, no, that factors in a good bit of stuff. That's why I like to ask questions, because at the end of the day, I mean, I know 6,000 might not seem much with the bank account, but it's
It
a
does
lot
when
for
it
me.
comes to your mailbox.
That 6,000 could have went towards striping some roads in my area. That
Student
needed it,
tuition,
you know?
yeah. But yes, we don't take this lightly. That's why I'm here.
I appreciate it. I'm sorry for hounding you.
I appreciate your questions. I think that these need to be asked, otherwise I don't have an opportunity to discuss them. So, thank y'all.
I appreciate the information.
Yes, sir.
Good, Mr. Randy?
no, I was just gonna say, I think Mark covered all the bases if it don't drain.
Yeah.
Because I'm not an engineer, I can't do the drainage, but, you know, I can give.
I think, you know, he was on record. He said if it don't drain, they would cover it. So I would be good to move forward.
Oh, he's coming back.
I've never turned down a good time.
Definitely on record.
I said that I would be more than happy if what the change order is stated now and approved. If anything changes, I will be right back here to talk to you about that.
Yeah. If it changes with what Ms. Dinah said.
If anything changes, we're gonna be right back here. We're not gonna install something that Mr. Randy is not happy hearing about.
Okay.
Was that fair?
Yep.
Mr. Randy?
I don't want Mr. Randy to be happy. I want
Sam.
the water to drain.
Got a question?
Yes, sir. Noted.
Good times.
Go ahead, Mr. Sam. You got another question?
No, let's go.
Okay. Any more questions on the agenda?
Oh, no.
Okay, one
We need
more.
we need to add,
For the
no, we need to add.
for the rodeo arena, do y'all wanna do some kind of add-on today, or do y'all wanna have that meeting first?
I think they got the message that, I mean, I think we're fine.
Yeah.
For a request for a meeting?
But we're not gonna take any action today, so
I
is there
think,
no action to be taken?
I think it sounds like there's a lot of moving parts. I think if anything, we should add it on just supporting that we're working out, I guess, the details.
Yeah.
'Cause I think they was looking.
that's all they're asking.
That's
for.
all they're
Is that
asking.
what
You're
they're
not, you're not approving, you're not entering into a contract, you're just giving thumbs up to the idea. Just for example, we were just talking outside about even north of the road if there's available. I mean, it's a fluid deal, just are y'all interested in having an arena there per their discussion? If you are, yes. If not, no, then they'll go someplace else.
I think if not, they might be looking
Do
elsewhere, you know?
a motion of intent to negotiate in good faith.
Yep.
Yeah, we need to see a footprint on what.
Oh, no, we-
Take up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know what you're gonna, I know what you're saying.
That's all they're looking for.
All right.
We wanna add,
Motion to add.
we wanna add it on there.
Hold on,
Yeah.
y'all gonna, hold on.
Yeah, that's why they're talking about. We're gonna add it on.
Don't wanna overload the wagon.
I would like to address y'all on item 29, change order. MNC Oilfield is the contractor for this, and they have, you'll see in front of you change order number 2. They've discovered they've encountered some unsuitable excavated material that they were planning to use as backfill for this water control structure that they installed. So they had to remove that unsuitable soil and truck in and barge clay fill material. So this is what that change order entails. It's a contract increase amount of $92,800. And also they are asking for a increase of contract time by 110 days with the new contract end date of September 23rd, 2025.
Ms. Carroll, what funds is gonna be paying for that?
This is no cost to the police jury, and they're still
Good.
within the budget, so you're all good to go. And also, the contractor is here if y'all have any questions.
That's the change orders we like.
So, thank y'all.
The one CARES got the money for.
Yeah.
Okay, so the 4 add-ons is gonna be the change order for the drainage at the North Cameron EOC, resolution of support for the CAFA bond, authority to advertise ordinance amendments to increase the food trucks to 5, and intent to negotiate for the McNeese Arena.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Correct. Motion to adjourn?
No,
Motion to
is there anything for the staff? Any staff reports?
I think we're reporting enough for one.
I got one last request. I see Mr. Bowe in the back of the room, and I just wanted them, you don't have to come up if you don't want to, just tell me when them pilots are gonna start showing up on the other side of the river.
They put mats right now.
Matt's is the first.
Yeah. So they started at Johnson Bayou putting mats out and working towards Holly Beach. So they should be on the other side of the river probably middle to the end of June. They're working in Homewood right now, and then they're coming back down south. They gotta finish up in the S curve. And then they're gonna come further south and finish up from the Creole intersection to Oak Grove in the canal. And then some of the crews that are right here in Cameron, they're gonna swap over and install in Johnson Bayou. So probably in June.
And have we made any tie-ins yet where we've been able to cut some of those generators loose?
Yeah, we took out all of the generators in Grand Chenier.
Okay.
So the Grand Chenier substation is being powered from the Michigan, Wisconsin substation. Still with the generators, but there's less of them.
Hey, Mr. Bowe, just to put it on record, I know I've been addressed on a few things on some of the stuff with the shoulders, with the work activity that's taking place. I got Mr. Shane to bring it up to Mr. Patrick Kuzi with the state on a couple issues I've been having some complaints on with nothing to do with the work you're doing, just with like the shoulders of the road and the ditches once the mat leaves. I'd really like to get in conversation off the record to see if maybe we could work with y'all in the state to resolve those issues.
DOTD has brought up a few issues also, and so once we're waiting for all of the contractors to get out of there, but they are supposed to clean the roads and fix the shoulders. We have inspectors out there. I can notify Shane because DOTD wanted our inspectors to meet with them, and so Shane, I can let you know and we can all get out there.
And also, just to speak on my little area y'all been working in, y'all doing an amazing job. I know it takes some time sometimes at the intersection, but y'all have wonderful flaggers. A lot of people look forward to sitting there talking with them, so.
Good, I'll deal with that.
Are y'all still on schedule?
We are a little bit behind schedule. We were hoping to be off of all of the generators by the end of June. So it's probably gonna be closer to September. With just some reroutes and some permitting things that we've been having to deal with. But
Wasn't FEMA's deadline in June or July?
that was tentative. We already got extensions
Good.
from FEMA on the generators, so we're good to go.
How long before y'all work in the area between the four-way stop and the caution light right there in the Creole area, in the canal again?
On the drainage canal?
Yes, sir.
That's probably beginning of June. Best option in the May, but probably closer to June. We're gonna try to wait till all the school's out.
Yep. We appreciate it.
And it's gonna be a 1-lane closure right there, not a 4-lane.
1 lane. That'll work. I appreciate it.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Mr.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Any motion to add on?
Motion to add on?
Motion by Mr. Michael, second by Mr. Sonny. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Good, John.
Motion by Mr. Sonny,
Second.
second by Mr. Michael. All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. President, how long of a recess? We went over our.
15 minutes.
15 minutes? Okay, so, reconvene at 12:30? Okay.
Meeting adjourned.